I'm Miss Meisner, and I'm going to be explaining the comparing and equivalent fraction station to you tonight. One thing that the kids have to do in the 5th grade is they have to be able to generate equivalent fractions or to be able to recognize that they are equivalent fractions. They can do this with pictures, or they can do this using our number one in disguise that we use to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number to get an equivalent fraction. They can also compare fractions by using benchmark fractions. We usually use 1/2 as our big benchmark fraction in the 5th grade. They know that 2 is half of 4, so they know that 3 is bigger than that, so that 3/4 is going to be bigger than 1/2. Also, at 5/12, they know that 5 is less than half of 12 because 6 is half of 12, and so they know that this is smaller than 1/2. So if this is greater than 1/2 and this is less than 1/2, then they should be able to compare the two and know that 3/4 is greater than 5/12. They can also compare unit fractions by looking at the denominators. Okay, we did a brownie lesson where we had a big pan of brownies and we cut it up into pieces. So we started out with this big 1 whole and cut it into 2 pieces. So they knew that 1 whole is bigger than 1/2. Then we cut it into 4 equal pieces. They knew that 1/2 is bigger than 1/4. It's just a really good visual. Sometimes they get confused if the denominator is getting bigger, that they're thinking that the fraction's getting bigger. But as the denominator gets bigger, it's actually, the fraction piece that they're talking about is actually getting smaller. They're actually having to share that with more people, and so it's fewer things that they get. So we talk about this a lot, and we use number lines and fraction strips to help them remember that the larger the denominator, the smaller the pieces are. They can also compare fractions by getting common denominators. And in 5th grade, we let them multiply the 2 denominators together to get a common denominator. It doesn't have to be the least common multiple for it to be the common denominator, not in 5th grade. We just let them multiply the 2 together, that these would be 24, and then they can multiply 6 times 3 to get 18 and 4 times 5 to get 20. And that's the skill that they have to know for comparing fractions and equivalent fractions. Now, at your station tonight, there's just a set of cards there that have fractions on them. So what you will do is you will get your cards, and you're going to draw 2 of them. Just the 2 off the top, or in the middle. Okay, I got 2 20s and 8 20s. Well, those are pretty easy to do because they have the same denominator, so the kids should know that 2 out of 20 is less than 8 out of 20. But if I took my 2 20s and a fraction 2 out of 6, okay, then I'm going to get my dry erase board and my 2 fractions. So I have 2 out of 20 and 2 out of 6. And you could do this a number of different ways, but we teach them they can multiply these denominators together, and 20 times 6 is 180. Okay, and then they go 6 times 2 is 12. That's my new numerator. And 20 times 2 is 40. That's my new numerator. So 40 180s is bigger than 12 180s. So 2 20s is less than 2 6. They can also, some of them do it this way, and they call it the butterfly trick. And they draw these little wings that kind of look like butterflies. 6 times 2 is 12, and 20 times 2 is 40. So you're actually getting the new numerator of a fraction, and just looking at the 40 and the 12, and they know that 40 is greater than 12. So 2 6 is greater than 2 20s. And so at that station, you're just going to practice comparing fractions.